Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining us today for your online coffee break. We have a special two-part edition today that's hopefully going to entertain you, but also help you with homeschooling options for your kids. First, we're going to talk to Sam Sorbo. She's an amazing actress, filmmaker, radio host, and so much more. She recently partnered with a Texas homeschooling organization to offer some free homeschooling options for you. Then we're going to speak to Tracey Tomme. She's the executive director of one of my favorite museums in the world. They're offering daily digital programming for your kids as well. So we're going to talk to both of them in this episode, so stay tuned.
We are at war with a virus, and healthcare troops and first responders are on the front line fighting it every day. Let's join the fight by staying home. Staying home is not a retreat. It's the most brave and aggressive weapon we have against this enemy. Because when we do stay at home, we help prevent overwhelming our hospitals while buying time for our scientists to find the vaccine. And that is how we beat it.
Now, it's my pleasure to introduce my first guest today, Sam Sorbo. Now, those of you may remember that we interviewed her husband, Kevin Sorbo, a couple years ago in episode 67. Again, if you haven't subscribed to our series so you don't miss any of these amazing guests, hit the subscribe button now. It's free and you don't want to miss these amazing guests. Now, Sam Sorbo holds many titles. She's been a filmmaker, a radio host, an actress, international model, author, wife, mother, homeschool advocate, and education activist. Now, she talks about, in this interview, their upcoming movie they're working on called Miracle in East Texas, and also a new book that she just released. But also, she's partnered with a Texas homeschooling organization to launch coronavirushomeschooling.com, a great site to visit for free daily lesson plans for your kids.
Online coffee break.
I have to admit, I really like it. I hadn't thought of it until I heard you say it. We talked about opportunity versus loss. As far as this is a great opportunity and the loss is the time. And oh my gosh, I don't know how you did it or how you're doing it because you're so busy. But for me, it's like, I've got to work and I got to homeschool. Oh my gosh. So tell me more just about that philosophy. This is a great opportunity, really.
Right. So look, perspective is everything. How you view the world is how you experience the world. And so you can look at this as a great tragedy, and it is. It's a great tragedy what we're dealing with right now, and the statistics and everything. But you can also look at it as an opportunity and find the silver lining in the clouds, so to speak. And the opportunity here is you no longer have to commute to work.
True.
That's found time.
It is.
Use time for your kids. You no longer have to get dressed in the morning. I'm just saying.
I beg your pardon.
I did.
Yeah.
But you have no idea what's going on from here down.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people wearing shorts. But yes, I hear you.
Speakers, so there's opportunity there.
Right.
The back of my hair is probably not as nice as it would be if I were going out of the house.
Me too.
But I'm just saying there is opportunity in here.
Absolutely.
And what a phenomenal opportunity to get to know your children in a way that you didn't have before. And just because you think that the school is going to take care of the rest, that's fine. But look at this just as an opportunity to grow in your relationship with your child, which you do frankly sacrifice when you drop your child off at school every morning.
Absolutely.
And late in the day. And then when you're standing over them, making sure that they get the homework done. And that's fun for everyone, right? At the end of the day. And somehow you become the taskmaster. And I don't know, that's not as fun a role for a parent to me. So why wouldn't you prefer to be the hero? In fact, I did a video on Be the Hero.
Yeah.
You've got all of these opportunities laid out at your feet. Despite the dire circumstances, let's rise to the occasion. Let's be greater than we thought we could be, right?
Yeah, see, I love that. And one thing I love too is you also said one of your amazing videos is don't try to replicate school, find out what works for you. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go live today at 9 and talk about different methods of homeschooling so that people can get a picture of, so what she's saying is not just that I don't have to replicate school at home, which you don't. Please don't. Please don't put a blackboard on the wall. And I had a friend who did that and she got cutesy and made a classroom in her house. And I'm like, no, the model is not that successful for you to want to emulate that model. Mm-hmm. But the homeschool model is just sort of a patchwork quilt of all kinds of different methodology. And your child is unique, and you're unique as a teacher. And so let's encourage you to figure out what's going to work for both of you together.
See, I think that's wonderful. And again, it's free. It's at coronavirushomeschooling.com. Bunch of daily lessons, plus you have videos on your website. Can link to that, samsorbo.com. If I may, I just have to say, I was very fortunate to meet your husband, Kevin, about a little bit over a year and a half ago.
I was fortunate to meet him, but you were lucky.
Well, there you go. I was like, great guy. But what I really love, I love and respect your marriage so much because it's deeply rooted in faith. And this is a trying time for a lot of couples out there that find themselves in a very stressful situation. Yes, exactly. And I'm alluding to the new book you just came out with, True Faith. Tell us about that book.
So this book, it actually is a spinoff. It's a sequel, basically, to True Strength, which was the details of his recovery from 3 strokes right before we got married.
Yeah.
It took him about 3 years. And, it helped so many people, that book. It's amazing the number of people that go up to him when he's at conventions or speaking engagements who say, your book changed my life. It made me a better person. It made me get up off the couch. I lost 100 pounds. Just
it's a great book. Yep.
Really helpful. So we decided to put this together. It's a collection of stories that center around how faith helped us get through the hard times. That's why the subtitle is Embracing Adversity to Live in God's Light.
Yes.
On the back, I put marriage and movies and miracles. Oh, my. So
I love that.
Talks about the making of Let There Be Light, which is a real miracle of a movie, frankly.
Oh, I love that movie. You did great. And your kids were even in that movie too, right? With you?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent job.
All of them, but if you blink, you'll miss my daughter. She didn't want any lines. She didn't be on camera. So we put together a short devotional for marriage. Mm-hmm. It's available at my website or Kevin's website, samsorbo.com or kevinsorbo.com. The devotional's free. It's a free download, and it's just five devotions and sort of ways to spark your marriage again, to rededicate yourself to marriage. Marriage is important. It's an important institution, mm-hmm. And it's an important institution for raising kids, for the family, for the whole structure of our society. So that's why we came out with the book, True Faith.
Well, see, that's fantastic. And also, if I may, you're coming out with a movie soon called Miracle in East Texas. I was just wondering, can you give us a little bit more details on that movie?
That's the poster.
Very nice.
It's sort of been slightly derailed by COVID-19.
Sure.
So I don't have a date for you, unfortunately. We got to see how all of this shakes out.
Right.
But it's a comedy, and it's inspired by a true story, the story of the biggest oil find in the history of the world. And my husband plays a con man, and I play a wealthy widow who he cons out of a bunch of money.
Wow.
And he has to pay for that.
That's great. And I understand Lou Gossett Jr. is in that as well.
Yep, Lou Gossett Jr., John Ratzenberger, and Tyler Main as well. So, yeah.
Wow. Sam, I think that's incredible. One thing I have to admit, my wife and I were talking about this morning, how it's easy for me to get overwhelmed. And I have my day job and I have my podcast, but you're doing so much. You have your daily podcast, you do these videos, you do these amazing things. I don't know how you do it. What advice would you give for people out there who are struggling with balancing everything these days?
Well, it's important to prioritize. That's number one. I mean, really. And I prioritized Kevin early on when he was lying in the hospital room. and I had a job offer that was like a really great job offer, and it was perfect because honestly, the job offer was a pinnacle thing.
Right.
And so I had a choice between that and my marriage, and I chose my marriage. And later on, my child made very clear that I had a choice between my career, my acting career again, and my children, and I chose my children. And once you get that priority settled, then everything else will fall into place. But don't second guess that. Like once you make that decision, then rest in that and have peace with that. And I did. Those are two instances where I didn't look back, right? The homeschooling thing is difficult because we've been taught in our schools that we are incapable. And it's hard for me to say that, but we've been taught that unless you have a teacher at a blackboard lecturing you who gives you a gold star on your forehead, you don't know. And that's why the number one concern that parents have when I talk to them is, I don't know how. Well, coronavirushomeschooling.com has all the lesson plans. So they will show you how. And it's not rocket science. It's so far it's K through 5, but we're working to get more plans up for the upper grades.
Excellent. It's
not rocket science. It's literally only just basically igniting your child's innate curiosity and guiding them in their learning how to learn. And so all you have to do is show them how learning happens. So really the best thing would be for you to not know. And the child says, "Why are frogs green? I have no idea. Oh my gosh, that's a fascinating. Let's go find out. Let me look it up I'll Google something, and then we'll look it up in National Geographic, and then we'll go to Scientific American." And you show your child how to learn. And then the child goes, "Well, learning's not that hard." And so when they're confronted with something like COVID-19 and you have to homeschool now, your child in the future will say, "Okay, I gotta go about learning how to do that now." Easy peasy. And the fact is, our children are going to change their careers probably 5 times before they're 30. So we want them to be this, to have this facility with shifting gears and learning something new. We want that for them. And the fact is, today, anything you want to learn is already there's already a lesson on it on YouTube. Some of them are good, some of them are less good, but do you know what I mean?
I do.
There's so much information. So we have to get out of this mentality. We have to rethink the way we define education and the way we approach education. And I think this whole period that we're in right now is going to go a long way to that end.
I totally agree. Sam, I just want to commend you on just the coronavirushomeschooling.com. Great partnership on that. I wanted to just wish you and Kevin and your family, just God bless you all, and stay safe out there.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the kind words, Chuck.
Online coffee break.
Wow, I really enjoyed my conversation with Sam today. I hope you did too. But don't go anywhere yet. Coming up after this, we're going to feature my interview with Tracey Tomme about what her museum is doing to provide daily updates. But meanwhile, if you'd like to learn more about Sam, just go to her website at samsorbo.com or visit for homeschooling, coronavirushomeschooling.com.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is, why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Tracey Tomme. Tracey is the executive director of the Dayton Society of Natural History. They operate 2 museums in Dayton, Ohio, the Boonshoft Museum of Discovery and Sunwatch Indian Village. Now, I do love these museums, and for so many reasons, one of which is this is where I started my career. Right out of college, that was my first position. I worked at these museums for a few years and just had a wonderful time. I love how they're doing so much for the communities around them. And I love how Tracey and her staff now are working to be so innovative to provide these daily lesson plans for kids, and they're free of charge. So here's my interview with Tracey talking about their amazing digital programming. Most of the nation, your doors are closed right now. And, hundreds, if not thousands of children and families can't visit anymore. But your team is responding with an innovative approach. Can you tell us more about that?
So many zoos, science centers, and museums, we're all trying to do this, but it's distance learning, and it's something that people have been playing with for years. So, this isn't just us who are out there doing it, but I think my team, I would be very proud of them to say I think they're doing a little bit better than a lot of places. I have been told by one place we're light years ahead of what they're doing, and they wish they had been ready. But we're certainly not the only ones doing it. But, streaming our content. So on staff, and I have kept all of my staff, but on our staff we have roughly 10 people with different master's degrees, and everything from, education, biology, astronomy, anthropology, public history, environmental science, and physics. That's a lot of, professionals who have deep knowledge in those subjects.
Right.
And so what we're able to do is supplement classroom learning, and now that's, like you said, even more important than ever, with short programming from these folks that show like this kind of content in action. So you're not reading about physics in a book, but you might be, studying the night sky with one of our astronomers and, being able to apply that physics topic to celestial navigation or, something like that. And so as you look at it that way, from my background, having taught 7th grade science for so long, my kids were only interested in what they thought they needed to know. And they either needed it to know for the test or because they just wanted to know. And I think through the museum, science centers, and zoos, we really engage that want to know. So hopefully they're seeing different career fields that, like I as a child never saw. They're seeing these different career fields. They're seeing questions that no one knows the answer to. They're just being exposed to a lot of deep content with folks who really know what they're talking about, not just reading it out of a book.
Well, see, and that's what I'm really impressed about, too, because, again, there are a lot of places out there that are doing, virtual experiences, but yours is the first I've seen that releases fresh content on a daily basis. I mean, it seems like your staff has really stepped it up.
They're killing themselves.
Oh, my gosh. What's that transition been like to go from, performing school tours to recording daily topics?
Well, so I guess it was like on a Friday when we first heard that we would definitely be closing to the public. And that Saturday, they were in. So they were in Saturday, Sunday, Monday, recording just as much as they can record. I know they have, 20 or 30 episodes or, segments right now.
Incredible.
And that was pretty easy because, they do this every day. So they took little snippets from other curriculum projects that we're working on for things from, full up classroom curriculum to, floor programming. And they were able to just pull all of these and find things that could work in a 5 to 8 minute, and then make it where it has some written content that comes along with that you download from the website, and then a hands-on activity that you can use, just things you would already have at home to do the activity. And so that's pretty challenging.
Right.
But they all banded together and just went across all the different departments and just were like, we just need everything, because we knew we were going to get shut down even further, which we have now. Thankfully, they allowed distance learning to continue operations under the shutdown, but we still can only have so many people in the building.
Right.
So one of our community partners, McGowan Brabender, they actually are lending us one of their employees, virtually to help with some of that editing.
Nice.
Because we don't have the computer capacity nor the people to edit that much and render that much video. So we have found a little help there. I did reach out to try to find some sponsors, but it's tough because everybody is really worried about, like the food bank. Do you want to send money to the food bank? Yes. Or do you want to pay for distance learning? Well, I guess we'll do the food bank, right?
That is tough. That makes it so tough for you. And again, it's not just the daily content. I mean, you've got a virtual museum experience where you go behind the scenes, you see the animals, and you're one of the few museums that actually has a very nice zoo inside of it. Plus, I think it's really incredible how you go into the collection vault.
Yes.
I want to talk about that a little bit more because a lot of people don't realize that most objects in a museum are not seen by the public. This gives you an opportunity to showcase those, which I'm sure your staff loves to do. So with that in mind, and with showing the audience something they're not used to seeing, what's been the response so far?
Oh, people just love it. So we have 1.8 million objects. We probably have less than 1% of that actually on display. Right. Sometimes it's because there's not a good place to display them or they don't make sense at the time. Sometimes they're just fragile, right? So you don't put your actual objects out. But I have had teachers reach out to say that they're requiring their students that they're working with online now to watch these and do a report or do a project or do some sort of response back to the educator, all the way from like first grade through seventh grade. And, and that's awesome because we know the teachers are scrambling as well. So if we can, help people interact with the collection, and that's why we have it, right? We have it for research, for education, to share with the public. Mm-hmm. So this has been a great way to really use that collection for what it's there for and have people tune in who really, have never really thought about what all we might have back in those vaults.
See, that's incredible too. Now, one last thing that I'd love to go into a little bit again is just the museum itself. You have the Boonshoft Museum of Discovery, which again, we mentioned has a zoo, also has a very nice planetarium.
Very nice, yeah.
And you also have Sunwatch Indian Village. Can you just give us a big picture overview for those who aren't familiar with it at all?
We say we have something for everyone, basically. So the whole family can come and, find something that they're interested in and not have to split up and all go different ways. So we've blended having live animals, say like with the zoo vet right outside of the zoo. So you have the live animals, you have radiographs of our animals on our collection. So maybe the sloth. So you're looking at an image of the sloth skeleton that was taken on an x-ray machine, and children and families can look at that. You could be, 4 years old or you can be 70, and that's interesting.
Yes, it is.
So we're blending things like that where we put the collection with hands-on activities and for all ages. Our new Ancient Egypt exhibit does that very, very well also. Mm-hmm. And then out at Sunwatch, we're doing a lot of work out there on the village, and that Sunwatch is a whole different type of experience. It's just a place that's so special that when you're there, you just can feel it. And, the exploration and the tone there is much more, I think, internal and about really understanding the history of people and cultures versus learning through play. We do have some, they'll play some like Native American games and, things like that. But I just think it's much deeper in that kind of way. So they're two very different experiences, but complement each other really well.
Well, they are fantastic. And I highly encourage your audience, if you're in the Midwest, Dayton, Ohio area is definitely the place to go and check out these museums. Tracey, how else can our audience find out more or help out your museums?
Well, they can certainly go to our website, and, everybody on their websites right now, and, thank goodness we have the internet. I don't know what we would do, right?
Right.
But you can check it out on the website. We have our, museum at home and educational activities, and then, looking at other places, see what they have, because I know, NASA has a ton of activities and lessons that students can look at and participate in. And I think that it will continue beyond the need we have right now, but I think it will really give people a new insight on how to virtually interact with folks. And, we're not charging for any of this content, so how can you support us? Hit that donate button.
Absolutely.
Any little bit helps, if you're like, well, I don't have any, I'm out of work too. I'm like, that's fine. But, if you felt like it had some value for what your experience was, Museums, we love to get the big checks like Oscar Boonshoft style checks, but $5 adds up.
Every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
Tracey, thank you so much. Again, we commend you and your team for all this hard work in this trying time for our history to offer such amazing and free content. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining us. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you again. Thanks. And come and see us.
Online coffee break.
Wow, I really enjoyed my conversation with Tracey, and I'm loving their digital media content. If you'd like to check that out, just go to their website at boonshoftmuseum.org. I want to thank Tracey for joining me today. I want to thank Sam Sorbo for joining me as well. If you liked this episode, we hope you did, just ring that bell if you're watching on YouTube, or give us a like on your favorite podcast application. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Stay safe out there. God bless.